sit there and sleep and nobody would notice them, and they will keep an eye on things. This is called khus. Khussa ضغط. ضغط means pressure. And then qidh, which means the command from aqidh, from wake up. This term overall means that wake up. You will be one day in a place like the cocoon with pressure pushing against you, which is the grave. Wake up before you will be squeezed in a cocoon-like place, which is your grave. Wake up. But also these are the letters kha, sa, da, gha, ta, qa, and va. Notice my mouth? They're all ah. I can't say kha, can't say ba, pa, va, wrong. My mouth has to be an ah. These letters, every time you're gonna find the Quran comes in, if it is followed by fatha, or it is if it has fatha on top of it, or dhamma, or followed by alif or waw, they have to be glorified. Ah, oh, right? If it was yeah or kasra underneath it, then it is soft. But don't worry about that. These are the letters that create the problems most of the time when we're reading. Thus, اهدنا الصراط. See it? صراط. The ra is not there. Notice here, the ra is not here because ra is only an exception. It's only glorified if it's followed by alif or waw. These are glorified right there. But the rest of the time, it's soft. So these are the letters. اهدنا الصراط. Now you see the word صراط. It's all up. It is all raised up. It is all musta'la. It is all glorified. صراط. Al-musta. They're all soft. Qaf, glorified, but it is kasra. It is still a little bit soft. But it is higher than those guys. So اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. One last concept I want to introduce to you, inshallah. This is a practical concept, inshallah, that I think of. It's something called a safe place. I introduced the safe place. Every person I'm going to go through, we're going to find a safe zone for you. Something that will make you say the letter correctly. You just said, could not say, one of the brothers, he cannot say, let's say, hat correctly. He says it with a little bit of heat, hat. Okay, he's saying hat rather than hat. So what's his safe place? He said who, and he said he. That's your safe place. So every time you want to say hat, you say he, who, he, hat. And it will come out correctly. Okay? We will find safe places all the time. I'm going to tell you, this is your safe place. You go back to it, repeat it a bunch of times, and go back. The idea is, if I can't locate the position of the hat correctly by saying hat, but I can say it by who or he, let's pinpoint it. Just say he. Get this, this is where it is. He. Now say hat. And it comes out good. Okay? So we're going to go through, keep notes, keep in mind, listen to every single say, write down, this is my problem letter, this is where I cannot say it, this is my safe place to say it, I'm going to repeat this, and then I'm going to give you some exercises. For those, let me tell you right offhand right now, for those who cannot say ayn, how many who cannot say ayn? The word ayn. Ayn. I think all of you can say ayn. You know why? Because when you were little, those kids running around, you learned alif, ba, ta, tha, and you got all the way to ayn, and you learned ayn. But you did not know how to implement the voice that it makes, the sound that it makes. You can say ayn correctly, but you cannot say a'lam. Oh, some of you can already, showing off. Okay? You cannot say alameen or ulum or alim or ilm, right? The problem is because when you're a child, like these kids are running around here, at one point you're going to make all of the sounds. You will make it. I promise you. All of us here make all of these words and letters at one point. But your ear starts to cancel out the ones that you don't hear at home. So if you have kids and they are not hearing ayn correctly or kha correctly, they will grow up saying the same kha that you say. You learned toy, zoi, swad, dwad. Those are wrong. Zod, thank you. هذا من فضل ربي. No, it's not. هذا من فضل ربي. All right? So now you have to unlearn what you learned growing up your life. It's not toy or zoi. It is ta and dha. Sad and dad, not swad and dwad. See? It's a problem. But the problem is, you're all adults or teenagers, and you might have learned it already wrong, and it will take a lot of effort to unlearn it. All right, so, what was I going to say? So now, let me tell you this from right at bat. If you have a problem with al-ha, by heat, by saying too much heat, by giving it too much ha, where it veers off into the position of ha. Remember, by the way, notice the order. Al-hamzatu wal-ha wal-ayn wal-ha wal-ghayn wal-kha. This is the same order from coming all the way to the bottom of your throat to the top of your, the roof of your mouth. It's coming out of your throat. This is bottom of your throat. This is top, roof of your mouth. Right? It's coming out. So now, if you have this veering off into this one, and notice who veers into who. These are collision. Right? So this is a collision. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is friction. This is collision. This is friction. Collision, friction, collision, friction. You end up making the mistake where the collision will go into the collision. And the ha, al-ha, will veer off into a ha. Or the ha will veer off into a ha. Right? That's a mistake you will end up finding. Or if you try to do the kha too much, you end up getting into the ha. 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 It's going into the ha. They fall into each other. Subhanallah, those scholars 14 centuries ago did a lot of work to come up with this. Subhanallah, they did a lot of work. They spent days and hours and years probably. There are many books written in tajweed and how to pronounce the letters. They have the anatomical structures, the pictures, everything. They did this 14 centuries ago. It's a science that must be learned. So, when you veers off, if al-ha veers off into al-ha or the opposite, go back to the words that you know in English. He, who, ha. Okay? Is it ha? He, hello, heat, heat, has. I got the H's a little bit better. Okay? Alright. هذا.
My question is, how do you identify your own problems? I mean, if you
Well, you're not going to be able to identify your own problems unless somebody's sitting in front of you telling you you have a problem.